Hi everybody, my name is Rupa, working as assistant professor in Chevron Engineering College, and I'm dealing the subject called electronic controllers and drives. And today's topic is VSI control in stator voltage side control of induction motor. So now we are going to learn about the torque and power limitations and the modes of operations. So see here, actually the torque and power variations for what we are giving the stator current and for frequencies below and above the rated frequency, these are shown by the dots in this figure. So these are the dotted lines, and when the stator current has a maximum rated frequency, it is having maximum permissible values, and these will be representing the maximum torque and power capabilities of the motor in variable frequencies. So the variation, if you vary the maximum torque and power capabilities with frequency, these are shown in figure. This figure, these are shown here, the variation of maximum torque and power capabilities with changing in frequency. And the variation of slip speed omega SL with frequency is also shown here. So if you see if you observe the both figures 6.35 and 6.36 here, we can conclude that this motor has a constant maximum torque from 0 to base speed. So base speed is omega mb. So hence what happens, the drive will be operating in constant torque mode. Okay, so in this frequency range, V is changed with the frequency as I shown you in before figures, and the slip speed at maximum permissible current will be remaining constant only without any change. So when you change the speed from the base speed to the speed omega mc, this maximum power has a constant value. So the motor will be operating in constant power mode. If you see in the figure at 6.35, omega mc, the speed omega mc, the breakdown torque is reached here. Okay, so for omega mc, the breakdown torque is reached here. This is omega mc. Okay, so if you give any attempt to operate the motor at the maximum permissible current beyond this speed, the motor will stall. Okay, so hence beyond the speed omega mc, the maximum, the machine is operated at constant slip speed, and the maximum permissible current and maximum power are, these are allowed to decrease. If you see in figure 6.36, you can observe that. So what happens if both of the parameters decreases, the motor current will be reducing inversely with speed, and torque will be decreasing inversely as the square of the speed. Okay, so here in this operation we can observe that there is drive operation with wide speed range, but it is having only low torques. Okay, so low torques are obtained at high speeds. For example, if you take the traction applications, the drive will be operating in the region when running at full speed, because torque will be in the steady state, the torque required will be at high speeds, and it is very small compared to the value during acceleration times. Because these are deceleration times, the torque will be low. Next important topic, voltage source inverter VSI control. Voltage source inverter VSI control. So this variable frequency and variable voltage supply for the induction motor, it can be obtained either from voltage source inverter or cycloconverter. So now in this section I am explaining this voltage source inverter, and after that I will be explaining cycloconverters. fed drives. These cycloconverters fed drives are explained in next sections. So now coming to the VSI drives. So in this we are studying about VSI induction motor drives, right? So this VSI will be allowing a variable frequency supply from the DC supply. It is taking from the DC supply. So in the figure we are having this VSI. This VSI is employing transistors in this figure. So these transistors can be substituted with any other type of self-commutated devices. Generally, so what are the other generally used self-commutated devices are MOSFETs. MOSFETs means these are used in low voltage and low power inverters. Okay, so first transistors can be replaced by MOSFETs, but these MOSFETs will be used in only low voltage and low power inverters. Next self-commutated device is IGBT, insulated gate bipolar transistor, and power transistors. Both these IGBTs and power transistors, these are used in medium power levels. And if you go for GTO, gate turn off thyristor, or if you go for IGCT, insulated gate commutated thyristor, these both GTO and IGCT, these are used for high power levels. Okay, so see here, this VSI can be operated as a stepped wave inverter, or it can be also operated as PWM inverter. If you operate this as a stepped wave inverter, transistors are switched in the sequence of their numbers with a time delay. So we are taking a time delay of T by 6. Each thyristor is having a time delay of T by 6. And it is kept, each thyristor is kept on for the duration of T by 2, where T is the time period of one cycle. And if you do like this, by operating as a stepped wave inverter, by using a transistors, you are getting a figure. It will be shown in B. This one. This is stepped wave inverter line voltage waveform. You will get this figure. Okay. Here frequency of the inverter operation, it is varied. How it is varied? By varying T and the output voltage of the inverter. It is varied by varying DC output voltage. So frequency is varied by T and output voltage of the inverter is varied by DC input voltage. Now when we are taking DC supply, the variable DC input voltage, it is obtained by connecting a chopper between the DC supply in the inverter. You can see here, this is type of chopper. This chopper is connected between the DC supply and the inverter. Right? So when the supply is AC, suppose if you take AC supply, then variable DC input voltage is obtained. How it is obtained? Variable DC input voltage, it is obtained by connecting a controlled rectifier between the AC supply and the inverter. So for DC supply we have to connect a chopper, and for AC supply we have to connect a controlled rectifier. Okay. So if you use this PWM, that means AC supply, here this one. If you use the DC supply, a chopper is connected between the DC supply and the inverter. And if you connect a AC supply, a controlled rectifier is connected between the AC supply and the inverter. And here in both the diagrams, you can see this electrolytic filter capacitor. See, this capacitor is called as a large electrolytic filter capacitor. It is connected in DC link. This is called as DC link. Whether you are using a DC supply or AC supply, you are using a DC link here. This is a DC link. Okay, so this is a DC link. It makes the inverter operation independent of the rectifier or chopper. Okay, so it makes the operation of the inverter to operate independent of rectifier and chopper. So this inverter do not bother about this rectifier, whether this rectifier is in the circuit or chopper in the circuit. And this DC link is also having other advantage. It filter out harmonics in DC link voltage. Okay, it filter out the harmonics in DC link voltage. This is other type. This is DC supply and PWM inverter. In between the DC supply and PWM inverter, only DC link is connected. So now the inverter output line voltage, inverter output line and phase voltages, these are given by, see here, line voltage VAB is equal to 2 root 3 by pi VD into sin omega t. First, next fifth harmonic 1 by 5 minus 1 by 5 sin 5 omega t. Seventh harmonic minus 1 by 7 sin 7 omega t. 11th harmonic plus 1 by 11 sin 11 omega t. Plus 13th harmonic 1 by 13 sin 13 omega t, so on. Okay, next phase voltage is VAN, that is equal to 2 by pi VD sin omega t plus 1 by 5 sin omega 5 t plus sin 5 omega t plus 1 by 7 sin 7 omega t. Okay, now the RMS value of the fundamental phase voltage is equal to V is equal to root 2 by pi VD. So make it as 79th equation. Now the torque can be calculated by considering only fundamental components in the formula. The main drawback of this stepped wave, we can use stepped wave or inverter or PWM, right? So this stepped wave inverter is having a main drawback, that is it induces large harmonics of low frequency in the output voltage. Okay, so consequently, if you use an induction motor fed from a stepped wave inverters, it suffers from the following drawbacks. See here, first one, because of low frequency harmonics, the motor losses are increased. Okay, so these motor losses at every speed, these are increased, and this causes derating of the motor. And second drawback is motor will be developing pulsating torques due to 5th, 7th, 11th and 13th harmonics. So what happens if the pulsating torques are developed? This causes the motor to rotate in a jerky motion of the rotor. So at low speeds also we can see this jerky motion of the rotors. And third one is the harmonics content in the motor current will be increasing at low speeds. Okay, so this machine will be saturating at light loads at low speeds due to very V by F high ratio. So both effects, harmonic content will be increasing and V by F ratio will be increasing. So what happens? These two effects will be overheating the machine at low speeds. So this low speed is again restricted to very low value of around 40% of the base speed. Actually base speed means low speed, right? Okay, so this base speed is also restricted to 40% termed as low speed due to the two effects and overheating of the machine. Okay, so these harmonics are reduced and low frequency harmonics can be eliminated and associated loss can be reduced and smooth motion is obtained at low speeds when you skip this stepped wave and when you use this PWM inverter. Okay, so stepped wave inverter can be used at only very low speeds. So the drawbacks of all this stepped wave inverter can be overcome in the PWM inverter, pulse width modulation inverters. Okay. So this is a pulse width modulation inverter line voltage waveform. It shows the output voltage waveform for sinusoidal pulse width modulation. This is for sinusoidal pulse width modulation. Okay, so because as we are using this PWM modulation, we have no arrangements, no need of variation of input DC voltage. So inverter can be directly connected when the supply is DC. See here, when the supply is DC, no need of any choppers or rectifiers here. We can, as you see in the previous one, these are connected, these are of stepped wave inverters, and no need of this control rectifier and no need of chopper. Directly DC supply can be converted to the PWM inverter. Okay, so but diode rectifier can be used here. Through a diode rectifier we can use. And the fundamental component in the output phase voltage of PWM inverter operating with the PWM sinusoidal, it is V is equal to, the voltage is V is equal to M into VD by root 2, where M is called as modulation index. In the equation 80 equation, here M is called as modulation index. Okay, so the harmonics in the motor current will be producing torque pulsations, right? And these torque pulsations, if they are produced here, what happens? There will be deterioration of the motor. So for a given harmonic content in the motor terminal voltage, these current harmonics are reduced when the motor is having high leakage inductance. Okay, and this derating problem of the motor will also be reduced, and torque pulsations also be reduced with this. Therefore, when fed from VSI, the induction motors of large leakage inductance are used. Okay, so when we use a sinusoidal supply, we don't need these type of large inductances, leakage inductance. But when we are using this VSI, fed from VSI, the induction motor, when fed from VSI only, we need these large values of leakage inductance. Okay. So this is the operation, and now we will see the braking and multi-quadrant operations of VSI induction motor drives. This is the braking operation, and multi-quadrant means I will show you. So see here, the power input to the motor is given by P input is equal to 3 VIS cos phi, right? So here in this, the terms are where V is the PIN is the power input to the motor. V is the fundamental component of the motor phase voltage here. V is the fundamental component of the motor phase voltage, and IS is the fundamental component of the motor phase current, and phi is the phase angle between V and IS. Here, phi is the phase angle between V and IS. So when the motoring will be operation done in phi less than 90. So when motoring operation, phi will be less than 90. So PIN will be positive. Okay, in motoring operation, this phi will be less than 90 degrees. Phi will be less than 90 degrees. So what happens? The motor is said to be in forward motoring. So PIN will also be positive. In motoring operation, PIN is equal to P. Power input to the motor will also be positive. Okay, so power flows from the inverter to the machine. If P is positive, power will be flowing from the inverter to the machine. And now if you reduce the frequency, it makes the synchronous speed less than the rotor speed, right? If you decrease the frequency, synchronous speed will be less than the rotor speed, and the relative speed between the rotor conductors and air gap rotating field will be also reversing. Okay, so when the relative speed reverses, what happens? This will be reversing the rotor induced EMF and rotor current and component of stator current. This component of stator current will be balancing the rotor ampere turns, right? This component of stator current will also be affected, will also be reversed. So what happens now? The phi will be becoming greater than 90. So due to this reverse nature of all induced EMF, current and stator, this will be greater than 90. So power flow will be from reverse. Before, when phi is less than 90, the power will be flowing from inverter to the supply. Now as the phi will be greater than 90, the power will be flowing from the machine to the inverter, right? The power flow will be reversing. So now when the machine is feeding the inverter, what can we call that machine? We can call it as a generator. Now the machine will be working as a generator and feeding the power to the inverter. Okay, so which in turn feeds the power to the DC link by reversing the DC link current ID, right? So regenerative braking is now obtained. When the power is flowing from inverter to DC link, the regenerative braking is obtained. So when the power is flowing from inverter to DC link, it is usefully employed, and dynamic braking is obtained when it is wasted in a resistance. Now we will see the dynamic braking, how it will be wasted in the resistance. So let first consider that this dynamic braking is of pulse width modulation inverter drive. Okay, so see here, if you can see the diagram, this one. Okay, so we are considering the dynamic braking for a pulse width modulated inverter drive. So with dynamic braking, the drive will be shown as shown in the figure 6.39 like this. So with the dynamic braking, the 6.38D figure will be replaced with 6.39 figure. So for dynamic braking, I am taking a switch SW, this one SW, and self-commutator switch. Here I am taking the self-commutator switch as a transistor. So this transistor is in series with the braking resistance RB. Actually this is RB. Okay, so this transistor is in series with the braking resistance RB, which is connected across the DC link, Okay, so now when the operation of the motor is shifted from motor to braking, that means from here to here we are getting the power. So when it is shifted from motoring to braking operation, the switch SW is opened. Now the switch SW is opened. So generally the energy generated energy will be flowing into the DC link. When the energy is flowing into the DC link, it charges the capacitor and its voltage will be rising. Okay, it charges the capacitor and the voltage of this will be rising. So when it crosses a set value, particular value will be set for that. When it crosses a set value, switch S is closed now. Okay, so when the switch S is closed, it connects the resistance across the link. So the generated power and a part of energy that is stored in the capacitor will flow into the resistance, and the DC link will be, voltage will be reduced. So when the energy will be flowing, what happens? The energy will be flowing and it is giving to the resistance. So what happens? The energy in here, DC link will be gets reduced. So when it falls to a nominal value, then again S is opened. After decrease of particular value, again S is open. So suppose when the charge is increased to, suppose I am taking a low value of 1 volts and high value of 5 volts. Okay, so when the switch is opened, actually when the switch is open, the capacitor gets charged and the voltage will be increased to up to 5 volts. So after increasing to 5 volts, then the switch is closed here and we are giving the 5 volts to the resistance. So what happens? The DC link voltage, this DC link will be giving voltage to the resistance. So the voltage here will be decreasing. So when the voltage will be decreasing to a minimum value of 1 volt, again the switch is opened. Again C will be charged here. Thus closing and opening of switch S based on the value of DC link voltage, generated energy is dissipated in the resistance, which gives dynamic braking. Dynamic braking is nothing but the resistance is heating up and it is getting some voltage. So this dynamic braking of operation we can see here in figures A to C. Same A to C we can see. Now we will go to the regenerative braking. So while going to the regenerative braking, first I am considering the regenerative braking of pulse width modulation inverter only. Okay, so for the figures C and D, I can 38 point C and D, this one, C and D. For this both links, I am telling the regenerative braking operation. Okay, so in the drive of C here, when the machine operation shifts from motoring to braking, in this C, when the drive operates in the braking operation, that is the machine will be operating from here to here like this in reverse direction, from motoring to braking. ID, this ID, actually this ID will be like this. This ID will be reversed here. Okay, when PWM from the inverter, the DC supply is fed, the ID current will be reversed and it flows into the DC supply, it feeding the energy to the source. Okay, so from the inverter, the energy source will be fed. So this figure can already has regenerative braking capability, right? So if you take the case in D figure, in D also, for regenerative braking, the power supplied to the DC link must be transferred to AC supply, right? So when the braking operation is done, after when the drive is switched from motoring operation to braking operation, here also the ID should be reversed, right? So the power should be fed to the AC supply. So when the operation will be moving from motoring to braking, ID will be reversed, but the VD will be remaining in the same direction only. This VD will be same positive, negative. Okay, so thus for a regenerative braking capability, a converter capable of dealing with DC voltage of one polarity and DC current of either direction is required. Okay, so what we require, current should be reversed, but voltage should be maintained at the same direction only. So for this we have to take the dual converter which has this capability, and we are employing this in the past also. And nowadays these in the recent drives we are using synchronous link converters, SSLC. Okay, in present drives, recent drives, we are using synchronous link converters, SLC, because it takes a sinusoidal current at unity power factor from the AC source both during motoring and braking operations. Okay. And the performance is also superior. It requires less devices than the dual converter. Of course, dual converter is a better one, but in recent modified one, this SLC, synchronous link converters, are more beneficial. Okay, so here I am explaining the principle of operation here. See the diagram. So this is the SLC fed PWM inverter induction motor drive. A regenerative drive is shown here. Inductors LS and PWM inverter I, they constitute a SLC. So this is called as SLC. See, I have put them both in the box of synchronous link converter. So this is called as synchronous link converter, and PWM inverter is shown here. Okay, so this PWM inverter I is operated to produce voltage VI. Okay, to produce voltage VI of required magnitude and phase with low harmonic content. With low harmonic content, it produces both VI dash and the required magnitude and phase will be provided by the PWM. Okay, so, and it is also having very low harmonic content. So what happens if it is taken in low harmonic content? The source voltage IS, it is nearly sinusoidal and in phase with VS for motoring and 180 out of phase for braking. So it will be giving unity power factor. Here I am showing you the phasor diagrams in A and B. This is for phasor diagram for motoring operation and this is for braking operation. Okay, so for each value of IS, V1 of given phase and the magnitude is required, everything magnitude is required. So this can be easily realized in sinusoidal pulse width modulations, PWM. So what we do in sinusoidal pulse width modulation means, in sinusoidal pulse width modulation, magnitude and phase of VI will be depending upon the magnitude and phase of modulation signal. So VI of given phase and magnitude, it can be produced by producing modulation signal of required magnitude and phase. So as the VI is produced by PWM inverter, it does not contain any low frequency harmonics, and the inductance LS used here will be filtering out the high frequency harmonics to produce a perfect sinusoidal source current IS. Okay, so when you take the behavior of the synchronous link converter, it is almost similar to that of synchronous machine. So that's why it is called as synchronous link converter. In next classes, we will see about this.